Welcome to episode 24 of Comic Book Nation, the official podcast of Comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me today is my co-host, Matt Mueller.
What up, peoples?
And we've brought him back, our very own Turn Up Charlie. Charlie Ridgely is back on the couch today with us.
What's going on? I could have a lot worse nicknames than that. So
really.
I'm happy. I'm happy with the turn.
Well, we call you
around.
Turn Up Charlie because you're very energetic. You bring a lot of energy. Things get turned up for better or worse whenever you're around. But
I got called fungus one time, so it's way better than that.
I don't know what that was.
You called me fungus.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I try to keep my subconscious on a leash, but sometimes it gets out. Sometimes it gets out.
Fair enough.
But today we have a lot to talk about. We are going to be jumping into a lot of what's going on in the DC live action universe on both the movie and TV side. Then we're going to swing around and be talking about what's going on in the X-Men live action universe, because there's a lot to talk about there. We're also going to get into what's going on, a major bit of casting for the new Halo TV series based on the game. And last but not least, I think we're going to talk about some big trailers that have just dropped. And they cover a couple genres, but they're for some big anticipated films that are coming down the pike. So we're going to talk about what we saw. All right, so let's get started. And the first thing we are going to talk about is the DC Universe. We just kind of ragged on DC Universe in the last episode.
We didn't rag on it.
Well, we didn't rag on it, but with Disney Plus coming, we were talking about what the fate of DC Universe has been. Yeah. But I think a lot of us have actually been enjoying DC Universe shows. A lot of us enjoy Titans. A lot more of us are enjoying Doom Patrol. And this week we got a first look at one of the next series that's coming up, Swamp Thing. And basically, if you haven't been following this, we're getting a Swamp Thing TV show. I forget a lot of the cast and who's starring in it, but we got a first look. Yeah, my anticipation.
I have a hard time thinking about it.
About everything you need to know about this show.
Abby Arcane is the girl. Crystal Reed. I was trying to think of her name. She was in Gotham. She was in Teen Wolf. And she's pretty popular among fans. I know that she's in it, and that's the only one that I can tell you.
Yeah.
The important thing is we got to look this week at the actual design for Swamp Thing, who will be played by Derek Mears, who has played Jason. I mean, most famously played Jason in some of the modern Friday the 13th series, and he's a big kind of creature actor. He does a lot of things for whenever you need a big freaky guy, he's a good guy to go to. So we got to look at this new Swamp Thing, which I say looks pretty good by TV standards, which was kind of the thing I'm really was concerned about with this. But it looks like Swamp Thing. It looks really good. Really good, prosthetic design, a very icky, kind of swampy. I like how it looks wet and actual, swampy, not just like a rubber suit.
Yeah.
And so there's a very good aesthetic to that. And I think this is par for the course that DC Universe, in some ways, is kind of really killing it the best when it comes to, costuming and design of characters for live action. After years of kind of having to make do with, the Arrowverse and the limited budget and stuff like that. The Titans look like the Titans, even Starfire. The Doom Patrol effects have been pretty great. I mean, they have to measure out certain things because of budgeting, obviously, but they're pretty great. Stargirl, we saw the first stuff from Stargirl that looked spot on it and looked really good. And this, probably one of the hardest to pull off and pivotal ones, also looks pretty good. So I think that it got us a little bit more excited for Swamp Thing. But this was kind of a double-edged sword because as soon as we saw this, we also got news that production on the show may have been halted. We're not getting maybe as many episodes as we thought. And it just kind of leaves us in the same place of the confused, battered, the confused, slightly battered feeling of pretty much all DC live action stuff, whether it's the movie universe or the show.
It just can't be seamless. It just feels like it can never, because if this trailer had dropped, I think we would have left with a positive, oh, hey, this looks good. I wasn't necessarily caring about this series before, but hey, at least it looks promising. And then literally the same day, oh, hey, wait, there's all this behind the scenes drama, people deleting Instagram posts and all this other crazy stuff.
Well, see, I feel almost the opposite of it because the reports started coming out, they started trickling the night before. Yeah. The real, the THRs, the big pieces didn't come out till the next day. Yeah. But I was reading all those reports through the night, and it was man, this really sucks. It felt like New Mutants to me. Yeah. Oh no, this is a thing that's happening.
Put a pin in that because we will be talking about that a little bit.
And then I saw the teaser for it after all these reports, and it was okay, I feel better about this because I thought it was going to be a doomed production, and then when I saw the first teaser, it's like, wait, this actually like
looks pretty
this
good.
looks really good.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
So, all right. We have Swamp Thing. We're hoping that what we see in the promise of the series actually makes it into something that we can watch and enjoy on DC Universe. But if you haven't seen it, take a look. We have it up on the site under our DC page. It's good, and we have even we took one of the photos and kind of enhanced it so you can get a better look at all the details and whatnot. So be sure to check that out. In the meantime, we are going to move right along and talk about something that's happening in the DC movie side. And I think this is especially fun for you, Matt, because it kind of nails a couple things. John Cena is joining the Suicide Squad. Yeah, so former WWE All-Star John Cena, who is kind of, really kind of found his way into acting, I would argue, having played some great comedic roles. I mean, he was hilarious in Trainwreck, that Amy Schumer movie.
He's great in Sisters.
He was great in Sisters.
Blockers, he got a real role, and he was still very funny in that. And he played a totally different character.
And Daddy's Home, too, he was entertaining.
Blockers, Daddy's Home, too, with these kind of cameos. And he even did, a big franchise thing with Bumblebee, in which he was a pretty entertaining character, not just, the generic evil soldier type. Like, he kind of made that his own. So I think it's not so much that we have a problem with John Cena or there's any debate of him. We were all kind of excited when we heard that. I think what we had internally, the debate was, how would you best utilize John Cena in the context of James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie? Because this movie is going to be using some pretty obscure DC Comics characters, and I think James Gunn's going to have a lot of fun with that idea.
Yeah, like it's so promising.
Yeah. So we had so the rumor is that he's playing a character named Peacemaker. That's the kind of overriding rumor, but it's not confirmed.
No. Yeah. Ironically, that's the most boring part he could play.
Exactly.
But it also makes the most sense, especially if Flag is not as prominent. You essentially swoop him in. And if I'd even be okay with that because Cena has shown he has a knack for comedic.
Just give us a little bit about who Peacemaker is, kind of.
Peacemaker is actually a character from the Charlton characters that were purchased a while ago. So they've shown up in Watchmen and some other things, kind of behind the scenes, right? Peacemaker, there's crazily enough, there's not really much about him that's interesting. He's essentially like a guy that he has kind of a red and yellow costume, but essentially all he does is melee, hand to hand. He uses weapons. He doesn't really have any abilities that kind of set him apart. There's not really a ton of personality wise either. There's not a ton. So he's really kind of a blank slate for Gunn to really just okay, I can do whatever the hell I want with that, and that's in itself kind of promising. So I mean that's really all there is to him. So which is why when we get to characters other characters that are supposed to be in this movie are Ratcatcher, Polka Dot Man. These outlandish characters, and I'm I could see him do any one of those. But this also makes the most sense if you're gonna have a kind of sort of leader, de facto Rick Flag person, but you don't want him to be a walking exposition dump like Flag was.
You want somebody interesting
in Suicide Squad, right? So that's. I mean, I'm excited.
I think that Cena's better the zanier you kind of let him be. So people like Polka Dot Man or King Shark, seeing him as a kind of heavily prosthetic or CGI King Shark would be hilarious.
He's so ripped and physically imposing.
You just put a shark head on him. It's a regular body.
Just like a man, John Cena man body with a shark head would be hilarious. That would be a hilarious thing.
Yeah, I already love it, and I don't even know what
and he would have fun with that. He's really good about leaning into this stuff and kind of, he's great at self-deprecating, making fun of himself and kind of doing that. So, I mean, Peacemaker is the rumor, but we're hoping for something a lot more outlandish.
I'm kind of hoping for Polka Dot Man.
Polka Dot Man, me too. Ratcatcher, Polka Dot Man.
One of those, man.
King Shark, one of those
crazy.
Characters.
Like you were talking about, Matt, with having that straight man. What we keep going, we're kind of glazing by is that Idris Elba's in this movie.
Yeah,
and Idris Elba's a really, really good straight man leader type. And there was talk about maybe he might play Bronze Tiger. That you can take over the leader role for Rick Flag right there with Bronze Tiger, Idris Elba, and then you can let John Cena be completely ridiculous.
Yes,
exactly.
And that would be, I think, the best scenario possible.
I want him to be more the Captain Boomerang of this movie than the Rick Flag. By far. All right. Well, we're gonna see. We'll let you know when we get final confirmation of who John Cena's playing. In the meantime, we're gonna keep it moving, and we're gonna move over to Halo, the Showtime series that's being developed around the Halo video game. It's going to star the Master Chief, and now we have an actor who's going to be playing the Master Chief, and that is, I don't want to butcher this guy's name, but Pablo Schreiber,
I think.
who, if you don't know Pablo Schreiber, he goes all the way back to his breakout role in season 2 of The Wire, Nikki Sabaka. He's also been in like big movies like Den of Thieves. He was in last year with Gerard Butler and 50 Cent. He's also the Leprechaun guy.
American Gods.
On American Gods. So he is a kind of really good actor. He's really good about being intense. And, when you see him in The Wire, he's like a very tall, lanky guy. But if you see him in Den of Thieves, like, he's swole, like real swole. So, in American Gods, like, I mean, he just had like a whole, not to get like weird, but he had a whole sex scene and like he had to get naked. And again, he was all like buffed out. Like, so. Yeah, this is a good guy, I would say, for the Master Chief, and he has the kind of voice. This kind of gravelly voice, and he sounds intense. Like he sounds like he could be like a real intense dude from like Boston or something, but not with that thick accent, but just kind of like that edge to his voice.
I mean, he comes from he's Liev Schreiber's brother, right? Like, he comes from like a family of great voices. Yeah, sure. I'm almost positive, right? Like that's.
Yeah, I mean, I can't confirm that. I'd have to look it up, but.
I'm just more like, so this whole series is interesting to me as far as like how much of him, because I mean a lot of the games you never see his face, you never see Master Chief's face.
No.
It's always the helmet, it's always the symbol. He's more of a he's super soldier and he's a symbol more than anything, right? So are we gonna get to see are we gonna get to see the person explored? Are they kind of like, I'm really interested more in those things.
I mean, the fact that they cast someone like is as
by the way, he's the half brother of Liev Schreiber.
Half brother,
yeah, close. Half close.
So like the fact that they cast someone who's even remotely recognizable, I feel like we're gonna see him with the mask off. There's no way. I don't think you cast Pablo Schreiber to lead a show and then like you just keep him in the helmet the whole time.
No, but the thing is, like voice, presence, intensity,
gonna matter.
That matters, and he's able to kind of really deliver those things very well.
Just prepare for the internet to be pissed when the first photo of him holding the helmet and it's off. It's gonna flock to the laptops now.
He never takes it off. Like, yeah, we know how that's gonna go. But this Halo, I mean, this is a big deal. I think for me. I mean, we don't talk about it. It doesn't get as much buzz. I mean, I don't know how the Halo series still resonates, but this is a big deal for the video game industry. I mean, this is a major show on a premium network based around a video game, and if it really takes off, that's a whole new lane we could talk about. Then you're talking about stuff like a Mass Effect series as opposed to a movie, which is just like...
Now you're speaking my language.
Exactly. Like,
I think with Halo, the reason why, and it does feel kind of muted, like this really should, I feel, have more buzz, and it doesn't. Right. But I think Halo as a series has been, there have been so many projects teased over the last
they've been trying to make this
years,
for a long time.
Movie, TV show, and all these things, and they've never materialized in anything. And so this, like, getting a casting of the lead is kind of the first real signal that, hey, this is happening. I feel like once we start to see images
that
and
first
footage,
concept, like, reel of... I mean, like when Neil Blomkamp did stuff and like kind of did, teasing like things over like Halo concepts.
Yeah.
When you finally see like an actual trailer with a real kind of battle scene, a concept, people waging war with these weapons against these aliens.
You'll see the hype kick in.
Yeah, then the hype should kick in like real
Right now,
strong.
people are still kind of worried, I think.
Yeah.
Well, because just like you said, like there's been so many high profile like filmmakers like attached to Halo at some point.
Yeah.
Neil Blomkamp was all about doing it at one point.
Yeah.
Alex Garland.
He was. They wouldn't let him.
Alex Garland, who wrote and directed Ex Machina and Annihilation.
Right, yeah.
He wrote Dread and basically directed Dread. Like he was supposed to do this movie a long time ago. And like when you think about the crazy things he's done with Annihilation, it's like they've had some wild iterations of what this could have been in the works at one point or another. And I'm glad we're finally getting it.
Yeah.
It's also just to maintain, I never could follow the storyline of those games. I just knew there were rings, there were aliens.
I got a buddy that can tell me every single thing that happened, but me, I was always like, oh, that's cool.
I was like, I knew I had to get over this crates and shoot these guys in the head.
All I know is like if I can find a needler, like I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's all I want is if they don't have a needler in the
like
show, I'll be so upset.
The stuff with the Arbiter was always kind of cool to me.
Yeah,
Halo once we
2,
got to Reach. I loved Reach because that's a very singular story about a group of people.
Yeah.
It kind of reins in some of the crazy epic.
Like around Halo 3, I was like checked out. I was
the
like,
Master Chief stuff is the most uninteresting part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hopefully the series will change all that. So that's what's going on over in the video game to live action realm. Stay tuned because when we get back, we are going to break down, like I said, some of these big trailers that have dropped in the last day or so. And they cover horror, they cover action, and they cover superheroes. So be here for that. All right, let's talk trailers. And we're going to start with the second trailer for the Child's Play remake. And this really is a remake more than a reboot. We've talked about this a couple times on the show. The Child's Play franchise is splitting. This new film is a remake that reintroduces the entire concept. Then the Chucky series that has been going straight to DVD with the original creative team is going to become a sci-fi TV series, which sci-fi has been killing it, and we might talk about that later or not. But yeah, so I'm excited to see that. But this trailer, the first trailer was really underwhelming. We talked about it when we saw it, and we're like, ugh, like this looks more like a Flatliners remake than a It remake. But this new trailer was kind of interesting for two facts. First, we got to hear Mark Hamill's Chucky voice, which we talked about when he was cast and kind of hoping he didn't just do a Joker voice that he recycled. And at the end of this trailer, we get a line from him, and it sounds creepy AF.
Yeah, and it's not Joker.
And so that was good. The second thing about this trailer that I think was different is that it revealed like what the kind of real angle, and we were speculating about this and kind of guessed it, but the real angle about this new remake and why it's coming now is I don't think either of you guys are not parents to non-fur babies, so yeah, if you're a parent today and you're raising kids, like this whole smart toys craze is real. Like there are a bunch of toys that you now have to buy that are intelligent. You program them, or you can set them up to interact with different things, or it can be activated by putting them next. All this stuff, and it is creepy because I don't know a parent that hasn't had some of these around the house when you're just like walking around in the night trying to get something in the dark and you bump or something starts talking on its own and you're like, looking around
when that
like
happens
what?
In the toy store, I get freaked.
Yeah, exactly. It happens like in a toy store. Imagine when there's like some creepy little smiling doll like starting to talk to you in the middle of the night. So this kind of shows us the angle that the Buddy doll is not some demonic possessed thing, but it's like almost like a evil AI. And it can interact with other electronic things is the big selling point of this doll. So like it can mess with like a vehicle's navigation system or other things. It can hear you through Alexa or something And that adds a new element of horror. And there was a lot of sequences in this trailer in the very quick flashes that show you how this Chucky will kill. And it isn't like as cheesy as a little doll trying to run up your legs.
Yeah.
Chucky can actually do some Final Destination type stuff to you and take you out while maintaining the anonymity that this doll isn't really alive or killing you, which is a new angle to it, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. So that kind of hooked me. It still looks like cheesy B-horror movie to me, but I think the kills and how this doll operates could be kind of inventive and kind of interesting.
Well, that's the thing. So, like, I remember early on, like, we were talking about, like, that was teased, especially, like, by the director and stuff. Like, hey, we're kind of going with that AI, being able to interact with technology and a message about technology today and that kind of thing. I remember that. But seeing the trailer and hearing you kind of reference it as, like, Final Destination-ish, and that makes sense. If I have a special place in my heart for Final Destination because those kills are so. It's just I don't go to see the story. I don't even know what's happening. I just know how is this dude gonna die on a train with a pot and a piece of tape and chewing gum? Like how is he gonna die? It's like weird MacGyver.
Yeah, exactly.
Death, right?
That says so much about you, Matt.
It really does. So if Chucky can do that and use technology like okay, there's a nest. And there's a doorbell cam. How is he gonna die? Like, if I can have that kind of like inventive, as weird as it sounds, inventive.
No, I mean, inventive kills are what we like in horror.
Then I'd be okay with
it. Thing.
But there's also a scene where Chucky's dragging a little knife behind him, and it's effective because of the weird screeching sound it makes. But also, like, as soon as I see that, I'm gonna immediately be taken out of like, oh, this is cool, and be like. Who the hell is gonna die from this little doll with a pair of scissors? Like I'm gonna immediately be like,
kick it right in his face.
I mean, yeah, like, or
but
run.
like there's things like but it's different. Like if he drops something like a crane on you and you're like laying on the ground, like what is going on? And then he walks up on you with a knife, like.
But if he's just chasing you, I'm like,
that's the thing. I mean, the first film had to do it like a lot bigger problem because the whole idea was for most of the film you don't see Chucky. You just see this little scampering thing or you hear something,
which in itself is creepy.
Which was really creepy until the end where he's just like screaming at the mom, "You be!" Like he's like because she's trying to throw him in the fire, which. That's a classic horror moment. But, so I think, if anything, the selling point of this will be, the inventive kills or lack thereof. Yeah. And I think that's going to make or break this movie in a lot of ways.
Well, I feel like it had to do that. Like, yeah, it's fun, but also, you can't, I was talking about this morning, you can't make this movie or remake it for today and not involve technology. Like, what kid, unless you're dealing with a 2-year-old child, and you're not going to direct a 2-year-old child as a star of a movie, like, you can't just bring, here's a doll who does nothing but be a doll, and then it's going to be the center focus of this film. Like, you had to either set it in the 80s or 90s, or utilize technology, utilize the Alexas and the smart cars and the phones and all this different stuff. And, you can only go one way or the other. And so it made sense they were doing it this way, and it really, like, it really seems like it can be either completely, totally different from anything they've ever seen, or really bad.
Here's
like
the thing.
It's gonna be one or the other to me. I think
I agree with you, but there's one exception. If they had based it around American Girl dolls, those things are creepy as hell. If you've ever walked through a toy aisle, and you end up in the American Girl,
real.
I'm sure American Girl dolls were not going to give up their likeness rights.
They're
to be the center of a horror movie,
and they don't do anything. They just stare into your soul.
But you kind of got Annabelle doing that, and it's like you got this like that little like here's this.
And that new Teddy Ruxpin's creepy too. Anyway.
All right.
When are Furbies going to kill people in movies?
They're not creepy anymore, I think.
I think you guys are in for it when like pops start killing people.
I don't like that.
Yeah,
you don't like that?
Their arms aren't big enough to do anything.
Yeah, and they can't move their feet because they'll fall off their base.
Yeah,
all right,
exactly.
Okay, I think we mind this for all.
Flaws.
We're gonna be fine.
We mind this for all it is. We're gonna wait and see if this new Child's Play can do something new and inventive. Moving from horror over to action. We got a new trailer for Hobbs and Shaw. I mean, I don't have a lot to say about this, except it just looks balls to the wall. Crazy.
It's amazing.
Crazy action. Going with the Disney Plus thing again. Is this a Fast and Furious killer?
Why do you do it?
I mean, it is a Fast and
it's
Furious.
It's my job to instigate these questions. Like
it has Fast and Furious in the title, though, so it's.
I know, but
is it
the main series. I mean, they even go back and even The Rock went back and was like, "You want cars? I'm gonna give you a whole section."
I don't think it's gonna do that though, because there's only 2 movies left. I mean, they're gonna make 10, and then they're done. So 9 will make enough money to warrant 10.
Am I guessing though that this one will be better than?
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely. Like there's no 100%. Doubt. After the first trailer, I felt that way. But this trailer, even more. Like the way they nail the humor and the banter between these two is awesome, and the new characters they're adding in are interesting.
Fate, they were the best part of Fate.
Yeah.
Like them in the prison, like that whole fight sequence was awesome, so well choreographed and really funny. So, the two of them together were awesome.
And so the whole movie I was smiling throughout the whole trailer.
I think this trailer, the first trailer, I mean, kind of teased what level of crazy action this would be. I mean, this trailer really shows it.
Running on the side of buildings.
Yeah, I mean, flipping cars, his bullet shields, like all that stuff. I mean, but this one showed off some really cool sequences, and not just for Hobbs and Shaw, but for like Vanessa Kirby, who was in Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation. Or was she in Fallout?
In places.
She was in Fallout.
Oh yeah, she died at the beginning. Was that?
Yeah, she was the son of. Well, no, she was the daughter of the lady from the original film, The Fence. Anyway, she looks like she is going to be like stepping up to be kind of a great action heroine, or could be a femme fatale. We don't know. She could be a double cross. But yeah, that was unexpected to see her kind of really jump into some really serious sequences. Idris Elba looks awesome in some of the sequences.
Black Superman.
Yeah, so the humor of the movie is actually surprisingly not cheesy and on point. The Black Superman.
Black Superman.
And they came back. I busted out audibly laughing when they came back later when he's like, "I'm Black Superman," and I was like, "Okay, that's a little bit pushing it, but it's Idris Elba. It's okay." But then when they come back after he does some impressive, crazy stuff, and they're driving the rocks, like he really is Black Superman. that had me. I was just
funny.
really
busting out laughing. I mean, yeah, we're gonna get some Polynesian culture stuff or Samoan culture stuff.
Roman Reigns.
Yeah, Roman Reigns, Samoan culture stuff. Oh, that scene where they're driving, he just throws the 2 chains down, and they just make a multi-car chain to bring down this.
And they're
helicopter.
battling people with guns with like these giant cleavers and like.
It's amazing.
It's so. It's so
and like there
ridiculous.
wasn't 1 ounce of that like really unnecessary like fake sincerity that you have in the Fast and Furious movies. There wasn't like. He went back to his family and they had fun and they joked with each other and like you felt like it was genuine, but there wasn't any like we're family.
Yeah, we're all the guns.
It's all gonna come back to one point.
Where's all the guns? Oh, I got rid of them. It's like such a mom thing to say.
It feels like a real mom without being like, hey, do we have time to have a barbecue right now? Do you have Coronas you can bring? We have to have a toast and film it so that this can be a Fast and Furious movie. This is missing all of that, like what makes Fast and Furious kind of boring and like oversaturated now. It takes away all that and replaces it with a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I didn't even mind that this was like one of those trailers where it made me feel like I saw the whole movie already.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I feel like I know the
all
entire
3 acts.
But you don't. It doesn't matter.
No, I want to go see this, and like, yeah, just the interaction, like you said, between The Rock and Jason Statham, like in a scene where they're taking 2 doors and having 2 completely separate experiences, fighting bad guys in these 2 doors, like that kind of stuff. This like spy versus spy vibe, like I think is really going to be fun. So I'm really looking forward. I mean, I've been Fast and Furious. I've been into it ever since it went full crazy in 5 and Fast 5. So I'm really looking forward to this one too. So that just moved up on my list, Hobbs and Shaw. Now, moving over to action, back to superheroes. We got to talk about some things that are going on in the X-Men live action universe. It's getting, that Marvel MCU reboot's looking better and better right about now. So we got a new Dark Phoenix trailer, which I'll say this. The Dark Phoenix trailer was the best trailer I've seen yet.
Hands down.
Looked pretty good.
Hands down.
Still looks like kind of a small movie comparative to like everywhere we are in superhero movies right now.
Compared to when you see an Endgame trailer and then you see
Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix, you can just there's a
and that's part of it is the timing. Like, how am I supposed to care about this movie when Avengers Endgame comes out in 7 days? It's like
I know nothing here's gonna matter either in like 5 years or whatever.
I can't get into it because like there's so many other
things.
And
it also just looks like it just looks kind of like my problem with Apocalypse, which Days of Future Past was the best X-Men movie, I think, at feeling really cinematic. Like, it felt like an epic movie, like event, like storyline, It was thrilling, and it felt like it had scope, and like big scope, where they're fighting the Sentinels in the future, and this whole thing in the past, and how it all has to sync up and cut back and forth. X-Men Apocalypse was like a really high-financed, penultimate episode of an X-Men TV show season.
It wanted to be with Days of Future Past.
Yeah, and I feel like this is the same thing. This feels like more like a really great TV episode or TV movie than a movie. The only thing that seems cinematic about it is the space sequence, and the rest is them just kind of fighting around neighborhoods on Earth.
Incredibly short.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we've seen I feel like we've seen anyway 90% of the space.
Exactly.
Stuff. Yeah. And like they're gonna cut, and all of a sudden we're back.
This
in New
movie's
York,
gonna be like
75%
of like Ty Sheridan being upset.
See, I don't mind.
Like, that's the most, and then like,
but I don't think that's
Charles trying to figure stuff out. Like a lot of that movie is gonna be. See, I'm the exact opposite. I can watch James McAvoy like
I can watch
put
James
butter
McAvoy,
on bread. I don't care.
I could do that too, but I'm so sick of Xavier Magneto.
I feel like I'm not gonna like this version of Xavier in this movie.
This franchise
just
doesn't
it's
realize
better
it has all these other characters.
Sheridan Cyclops.
I'm so ready for that.
Yeah, so it looks all right.
But the trailer looks a trailer. It looks good.
Yeah. And Sophie Turner looked better in this than she ever has. Like, she looked really, really good.
I don't want to
as Phoenix, and I'm excited to watch what she does. If for nothing else in this movie, I'm excited to watch what she does with Jean Grey because, like, she kind of got those cocky like smirks and like she's aware of the evil inside of her moments, and it's like I can really like vibe with that. Like Sansa's had some of that, and I can get excited and get behind that kind of character turn for her.
Yeah, it's not. It looks all right. I'm not gonna. Like I said, you're not going to crap on it too much.
Yeah.
What I might have to crap on is this next one, which is that New Mutants. With Dark Phoenix, also, we're still waiting on this New Mutants movie, and now rumor is that it's been
don't call it.
not
I
even
see
delayed again. It just lost any kind of. It was scheduled for August. We had hope during CinemaCon because it looked like there were dates and promotion for it.
You were so excited.
I was. Now we're hearing that it's just no date again, no plans, no official kind of
put it out of its
plans.
misery.
And it's just like
they have a finished version. Like they were going to do reshoots. They have a finished thing. Well, but there's no Snyder cut because they didn't do reshoots. There were no reshoots. Here's the initial thing that we made, and then they wanted to go make it scarier or whatever the report was. They wanted to change it. Like just put it wherever what you've got, because that trailer was so good.
Yeah,
that was such a good trailer for the first New Mutants trailer. I guess the only New Mutants trailer that came out. Like it looked awesome.
Like
well, I'm not saying
it looked awesome.
I'm just letting.
And you can print money with it's X-Men. People care about it. You can't now. You can't now. You cannot now.
Even back then,
but
it would not have printed money.
Yeah, you could have. You kept selling it
as a PG-13 horror movie.
Yeah.
Go look at every studio PG-13 horror movie.
Sell at
how
the
much
box
money
office right now:
make.
superheroes and horror.
Especially PG-13 horror, because everyone goes.
No, that was not horror. That was not horror.
No,
this
but
was
I'm saying
straight up.
You said superheroes are big and horror is big.
No, I'm saying if you just sold it, you would make a fair amount of money because you could appeal to those two groups.
Have you ever gone to see a PG-13 horror movie in theaters on opening weekend? It is full. I mean, packed full of teenagers.
Yeah.
They all go to see it with their little girlfriends and little boyfriends. They're all like, "Oh, let's go see this horror movie." These big groups and gaggles of children go see whatever spin-off is happening. Yeah, they all go see these movies. And they talk through them, and it sucks. But the movies make money. And so if New Mutants is sold as this horror movie like the first trailer showed, you're going to get all these kids for that. And then all of us that care about the X-Men are going to go see it too. And you had an opportunity to sell to two very big markets at one time, and they completely
lead into a connection that would have connected them together, which would have been really cool, which was speculated when the movie was first coming out that New Mutants would end with them getting out of this institute and being recruited and set up their future as future X-Men and stuff.
Yeah.
Now none of that matters. But yeah, I mean, I want to see what was put together. There's a lot of good actors
on Hulu, on Disney Plus.
There's a lot of good young actors who are now, I mean, they probably don't even remember this movie anymore. They're moving on doing other stuff.
Yeah. This summer you have Game of Thrones final season and Stranger Things coming out, and two of those stars are in this movie. It's what better time to put it out and just get it out there if you're going to get eyes on it than have Arya Stark and whatever his name is in Stranger Things. It doesn't really matter.
Whenever we get the inevitable here's the report of what went wrong with this.
The unredacted report of what went
wrong. Yeah. I'm really interested to see why they didn't put it out. I'm more interested in just the why they didn't put it out somewhere on any one of their things.
The mutant report.
I feel like it's going to be one of those. I mean, it's going to be one of those stories that eventually somebody makes a movie about what went wrong with the last two X-Men films.
Basically, what was the one that they made about the death of Superman Lives?
Oh yeah. Which was inanely interesting, but I'm
still mad we don't have Superman Lives.
I'm more interested in the story behind it than I am the movie.
I want to see.
I want to see New Mutants. Yeah. All right, so it's 2-3. Democracy wins again. Let's move right along. Final tragedy for the X-Men franchise. The Gifted was canceled. I know a lot of people aren't going to care. A lot of people weren't obviously not invested. Yeah, me and Jamie Lovett. I was invested in The Gifted. I actually stuck with it through both seasons, even though I really didn't like most of season 2. I feel like the show had the same problem, which is it felt like they could only afford 3 sound stages. It just spent an entire season running back and forth between 3 locations.
Walking Dead's the freaking farm.
Basically. They were just stuck in the mutant resistance base, whoever their enemy's base was, and then some third location, the Morlock tunnels or something. And that's what this was. So it's not surprising. It sucks because the end of season 2 actually set up a really great cliffhanger where basically it looked like we could have anything from Days of Future Past to Age of Apocalypse being the next season. Blink comes back from this dystopian future when you think she's dead, and she says, I got to take you. We got to go basically back to the future too. We got to go fix something. Everybody come through this portal, and we were going to get a season 3 that was going to be
that's where it ends.
Really exciting. Yes.
That hurts.
Yeah, so that hurts. I did enjoy The Gifted. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was when it first started. It was kind of interesting building this whole thing about Fenris and the Fenris twins and all this other stuff. And there was a possibility of a lot more X-Men lore coming into play as things progressed. And so we just lost that one. So that's,
X-Men are kind of gone for the foreseeable future in live action movies.
Yeah, we get one more season of Legion to savor.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, the comics are about to like the X-Men come back in a big way with Jonathan Hickman in the comics. Like that's what we're gonna have to hold on to if we really love the X-Men. Like that's what we're gonna have.
We basically need the comics to like lay out some new mythos that we can actually.
Oh,
Hickman's gonna do some weird stuff.
Whether you like it or not,
guaranteed.
Will be a total different story. But he'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. So R.I.P. Gifted. We knew you briefly, so long. And that'll do it for that. Now, since we got some time left, we are going to run through some quick rants and raves because people have been asking for this and asking that we could, like, incorporate some more things, but we don't always have time, but today we do, unless I keep talking. So let's
You're filibustering your own segment.
Yeah.
Let's get into some rants and raves. All right, so we'll start with me real quick, and I am going to rave about one thing and rant about another, but it's a good rant, but it's still a rant. I'm going to rave about Hana on Amazon Prime, the series. I was a big fan of the movie that came out in the early 2010s. It was like when I was in the prime of doing movie reviews, and I saw that, and it was like Schwarzy or whatever her name is, Ronan, Kate Blanchett, Eric Bana. Mm-hmm. It was a really kind of unique film that framed this assassin story against like a fairy tale. There was all this imagery of fairy tale. And the TV series abandons that kind of allegory to making this about a fairy tale about a girl in the woods and stuff for more of a straight up espionage action type show. But it's really enjoyable. It reunites Muriel Enos and Joel Kinnaman from the Killing series where they both broke out, and this time, and this time they're kind of opposite. They're enemies in this one, which is really kind of a fun dynamic to see. And the little girl, I forget her name, that it introduces, who plays Hana, is really good. But it's about a girl who was kind of genetically engineered to be like a soldier or assassin.
Oh, okay.
But her mother wanted her back. They recruited babies from mothers who wanted to give them up, but this one mother wanted hers back, and she turned the guy who kind of recruited her to give up the baby, who was Joel Kinnaman, to get this one baby back. It all goes badly, and he ends up having to raise her in the woods until she's a teenager and hiding from this agency that's looking for them. And, of course, the story kicks off when they finally get discovered in the woods and have to go on the run and basically take out the shadowy operation before they get killed.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, and it is. It's really cool. And Amazon did a good job of kind of like globe hopping around Europe and giving us different locations and really putting together really thrilling sequences. It's like it gives you that 24 feel like people are going to betray you. Crazy stuff's about to happen. Yeah. There's some great kind of shootouts and action sequences. Joel Kinnaman and this girl are really good in their roles, and so is Muriel Enos about doing the action and handling that and all this stuff. So Hana's like a really good one if you're looking for something to watch on Prime. Check that out. So I'm going to rave about that. I'm going to rant about Happy Season 2. Not because I think Happy is a bad show. I actually really like Happy. It's a must-see for me every week. But man, I do not know. There's just a chain I have with a friend of mine that's just like, I watched this new episode. How can this show keep getting more WTF weird, like week by week? And somehow, Happy Season 2, if you thought Happy Season 1 was weird and intense, like, you ain't seen nothing yet. Just from the first frame of Happy Season 2, which involves a bunch of nuns on a rat race to defuse the bomb. One of them has to defuse the bomb jackets they're all wearing to survive. Yeah, it goes from there.
Okay.
And it just, I don't know how they're getting away with putting this on TV. Like how, I guess, censors have just loosened up that much.
Well, no one watches sci-fi, so
but it's just like, I mean, Christopher Maloney spilling out a guy's entire intestines onto the floor by accident is just a comedic one-piece scene of it. And there's a guy who's been skinned alive and gets slapped on the ass and threatened sexually.
Oh, God.
There's been kids murdered. There's been there's all kinds of stuff.
I don't like.
They just killed a whole nursing home full of Nazis and brutally murdered old people. It's nuts, man.
Now you liked Happy Season 1, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I like the comic a lot. I like the Grant Morrison book, and Season 1 was fairly close to that. And this like you said sounds completely way farther.
No, it goes
Season 1.
Yeah, Happy Season 2 is going way far. So I'm ranting about that, but in a good way. But
But you like it still.
Yeah, I like it still, but it's just like, yeah, do not do this if you are feeling faint of heart or about to go to sleep. Like, it is not that show to watch. Make sure you've got your stomach and your mind up for it, because it is so
And your
great.
children far away.
Yeah, and the children far, far away. So that's it for my rants and raves this week.
Charlie, you want to go first?
I didn't prepare any rants and raves, but I guess I know what Amazon Prime has like slowly become like better and better and more awesome. Guava Island on Amazon Prime came out this weekend. It's a 55-minute movie starring Donald Glover and Rihanna, and it's got a lot of Childish Gambino music. Like, he performs it in the movie, and it was directed by one of the main directors of Atlanta and written by Donald Glover's brother Steven. It is one of my favorite movies of the whole year. It's a lot of fun. I really, really love it. So I'll just say that so you can have time to say your things. But it's Guava Island.
It's crazy because Amazon also makes Amazon Music, and they put out good services. Just if you want to do that podcast,
you got time.
Section.
You better use right now. You better use it wisely.
All right. So this actually really quick because you guys have been so Amazon centric. Recently, The Tick actually debuted its season 2 on Amazon. And I really enjoyed it. I ended up doing like a binge watch of the first season before, like leading right up to season 2.
It's a really easy binge.
It really is. Like, it's genuinely fun. The actor, I mean, I was a big fan of Patrick Warburton's Tick.
Oh yeah.
And then of course the classic animated Tick. Like, I adored those series. So having another person, his take, and I forget the actor's name, but his take is different.
He's the a-holes guy from Guardians.
Okay, yes. And the thing is, this is very much more, this is like an Adam West-ish take on the character, but it's really fun. He's really charming. I like season 2 better than I like season 1. And my main thing was the first season had a better villain. The Terror is the main villain in the first season. In this one, it's more of like it's kind of like a villain by committee thing. Like, it's all these other plots that are developing, and then kind of towards the end we get like, oh, here's your main bad. That's not as interesting, but the dynamic between Arthur and Tick is more it's more engaging, and like Danger Boat is amazing. So is oh my god, I'm blanking on his name. He's the one who like kills everybody, and I cannot believe I'm blanking on his name. But anyway, it's a really good show. I really enjoyed the season 2, so that's up now, and I think it's all streaming. Real quick though, there were some really cool comics that came out this week. First is War of the Realms #2, which I have to say, I go into events, especially Marvel, Marvel and DC events. I kind of go into with a very low bar. Because
especially now.
The times of, when I got Civil War, and then I got Siege, and then I got Secret Invasion, kind of House event back to back to back, are kind of gone. Like, now it's like every other one, if you're lucky, are gonna hit.
If that.
Infinity Wars, I was let down by, but War of the Realms, I've been surprised. I have not read any of the tie-ins except for one, but it was like not even really related. So I've just read the first 2 issues, and you can get a lot out of those, and it's actually really good. Like, so far, it's drawing emotion. The premise of like Malekith as a villain, they're actually doing a very good job. Something Dark World did not do, of showcasing why, like, how deadly he can be. It's got emotion in it. Like, so far, it's been really good. It's really surprised me. Also, Boom Studios snuck in Angel's debut with Angel #0. If you're a fan of the show, you're gonna see like where they made some tweaks and changed some things, but overall it's very faithful to Angel. Buffy Angel. And you'll need to also pick up Buffy #4, which also came out this week, to kind of get the full picture of what's going on there. But he's springing into his new series. It's very good. And then Aquaman #47. I absolutely adore Kelly Sue DeConnick's kind of different, fresh take on the character, kind of spinning out of the last big event in DC Comics. This one is really different. It doesn't involve Mera, it doesn't involve Atlantis. It kind of sets up this whole new mythology that surrounds the character, and it's kind of got more of a mythological and kind of a mystery at the center of it. And it's just ended. This is the 5th issue of the arc, and they'll spring into answering a bunch of questions next time. But as a self-contained story, it's very good. So big stuff there. Also, Superstar shakeup recently happened at WWE. There was a lot of things over Raw and SmackDown. Some people moved over. I have a pick. The big thing that impressed from Connor Casey, one of our WWE guys here, He was especially taken with the SmackDown Women's Division and the Raw Tag Team Division. Those are the biggest winners. They essentially got big boosts to their rosters, especially the Women's Division on SmackDown. For me, it was the fact that Finn Balor moved over to SmackDown, which I'm Team Finn Balor, and then Ember Moon is getting a title shot, it seems, with Becky, and I think that's going to be fantastic. So those are my rant and raves.
All right, that'll do it for Rants and Raves. But before we get out of here this week, I thought we'd read a couple more reviews and just say thank you to you guys for riding with us here at Comic Book Nation. If you want to subscribe to the show, we put up new episodes Wednesdays, Fridays. You can subscribe to an RSS feed, read them on the site. You can go to iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcasts to subscribe to any one of those, whatever service you use. You can kind of find us online at Twitter on the hashtag Comic Book Nation. We'll give you our Twitter handles in a minute, but I thought I'd read some reviews for the fans who have been with us because these are always great and they make us feel great. And when we read them, you guys get some swag in the form of a comic book t-shirt. So if you hear your review read, let us know where to send it and we'll get it out to you. First one says, my favorite entertainment podcast by Fardo18. And see if you can't surmise who might be the author of this fond review. I see new movies on Thursday night just so I can listen to these guys first thing the next morning. I feel like I'm sitting in on the conversation that I would have with my friends if I had friends who were into this stuff. Keep it up, please. Oh, and more James Viscardi, please.
It was Jim.
Yeah. All right. Second one, by me, and I. This is my one-stop podcast for all info geek-related. It has helped expand my knowledge base beyond the MCU and Star Wars franchises. It even convinced me to go buy a comic book for the first time in years. I enjoy the chemistry between all the hosts. It does make it sound like Comicbook.com is an interesting and fun place to work. We make it sound that way. It's also great that they bring in people to talk about anime and WWE, but also get their opinions about other topics on the show, just not their specialty. Keep up the great work. And I like that one because, yes, we go out of our way to try to involve many different people from the staff who specialize in certain areas, but also are knowledgeable about a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
And just to show you guys, you know, we do have people who are passionate about this stuff, and we are passionate about a variety of stuff that we cover, and try to offer you things that won't just reinforce what you already like, but open you up, hopefully, to things that you can discover and like, or come back and yell at us about because we led you down the wrong path. Either way. So, thank you for the great reviews again. If you heard your review and you want some comic book swag, let us know where to send it. That'll do it for this episode of Comic Book Nation. I'm Kofi Outlaw. You can find me online at Kofi Outlaw.
You can find me at Matt Mueller CB.
And I'm at Charlie Ridgely.
We'll see you guys next episode. We're out.
Deuces.